right now we have 4, sometimes even 5 generations all sharing the same office space. And you hear a lot of talk about friction, right? But what if that conflict we're all feeling isn't quite what it seems? Okay, let's dive into this because the actual data, it tells a very different story than the headlines.
All right, first up, let's just bust one of the biggest workplace myths from the last few years: quiet quitting. Now, pop culture would have you believe it's all the youngest workers who are checking out, but what if I told you the real numbers point in the complete opposite direction?
Okay, just look at these numbers. This is where that whole media narrative just completely falls apart. Research shows that Gen X employees are nearly 3 times more likely to be quiet quitting than their Gen Z colleagues. We're talking 33.3% versus just 12.5%. This flips the entire story on its head and really makes you wonder, right? What else are we getting wrong?
And that whole quiet quitting myth, it's the perfect doorway to understanding the real issue here. See, the tension we feel in a multi-generational office, it isn't really about a fundamental clash of our core values. It's a communication problem. It's this massive gap between what we perceive and what's actually intended.
So this is the big question we're tackling. Are our offices really a battleground of competing worldviews? Are we actually fighting some kind of values war? Or is there something else entirely going on?
So studies show us exactly what we think divides us. We have this perception that other age groups have these wildly different priorities when it comes to stuff like flexibility, how important technology is, or even the idea of having fun at work.
And here's the twist. That same research, it found that when you actually ask people what they value personally, the differences between generations are tiny, almost nothing. So we're operating based on these stereotypes, not on reality. The conflict comes from our perception, not from any real clash of values. And that is the absolute key to all of this.
And this is a perfect example of how that plays out every single day. So, a Gen Z employee sends a quick, "Hey," on Slack. An older manager might see that and think, "Wow, that's abrupt. Kind of disrespectful." But for the person who sent it, it's just the fastest, most efficient way to kick off a conversation. Same action, 2 completely different interpretations. It's a clash of signals, not a clash of substance.
So, if the problem is really this perception gap, then how in the world do we fix it? Well, some of the smartest companies out there are actually turning this exact challenge into a huge competitive advantage, and they're using a really simple but powerful tool to do it. It's called reverse mentoring, and the idea is pretty straightforward. You just flip the traditional model completely on its head. You have junior employees, who are often digital natives, mentoring senior leaders on everything from new tech and social media to what's going on in the culture right now.
I absolutely love this quote from Barbara Goldberg. She's the CEO of a PR firm. She says, "The generational differences, to me, are something to leverage. It's like a superpower. And that mindset is everything." She doesn't see it as a problem you have to manage, but as this amazing asset you can tap into. And at her firm, it really is a two-way street. The younger staff keep the leadership totally plugged into the cultural zeitgeist. What's trending on TikTok, what new slang actually means. And in return, Goldberg mentors them on the timeless skills of building real relationships and networking in person, which, let's be honest, can feel pretty daunting for a generation that really came of age over Zoom.
Okay, but this isn't just about making everyone feel good and understood. Building these bridges has a direct, measurable impact on the bottom line. Let's get into the numbers.
Yeah, research found that companies that do a great job of integrating their multi-generational teams can see their innovation capacity boosted by as much as 18%. I mean, that is a massive advantage in today's economy. Just take a second and imagine what your team could come up with an 18% boost in raw innovation.
So how do they get there? Well, the research points to 4 key things. They intentionally create teams with different generations to tackle complex projects. They put reverse mentoring into practice. They offer flexible schedules that actually respect that people are at different stages in their lives. And they create chances for people to just hang out and bond casually. It's a whole strategy. Okay, so you're probably thinking, how can I actually make this happen where I work? The good news is it's simpler than you might think. Here's a really straightforward 3-step playbook to get you started. First, make reverse mentoring official. Create actual structured pairings. Second, build what's called a communication charter. This is where you get the whole team together and you all agree on the rules of engagement. When is a quick Slack message okay? When do we really need a formal email? And third, and this one is a game changer, manage based on outcomes, not rituals. Focus on the quality of the final result, not whether someone did it in a specific way at a specific time.
And in the end, this quote from Lena Renee at Skillsoft just gets to the absolute heart of it. She says when you strip away all the stereotypes, every single one of us, from every age group, is looking for the same basic things at work. We want supportive leadership, a chance to grow, and to be treated with respect. That's the common ground we can all stand on.
So, here's the big takeaway. The whole generational divide thing, it's pretty much a myth, born from simple misunderstanding. The real opportunity here is to bridge that perception gap. It's time to stop managing tired old tropes and stereotypes and start managing the incredible, unique talent that every single person, no matter their age, brings to the table.